So you have a PhD in interpreting, right? What is there to study about interpreting? I'm Dr. Jonathan Downey, and this is Inside Interpreting. And yes, I did really get that question from someone at a business networking event. I wasn't upset or offended in the slightest. You see, if you don't speak two languages, it makes sense that interpreting would just be about saying what the person said in one language in another. Now, we've gone through several videos to explain why that doesn't work. But if you've never been in or around interpreting, you wouldn't understand that. In fact, one of the most common things that people say to me at business networking events was, "Wow, I didn't realise your job was so difficult." Or as someone else said, "I didn't realise your job was so interesting." Well, yes, neither did most people until they saw it in the flesh. The true answer, and sadly it wasn't the answer I gave at the time, was that any question that you can think to ask about interpreting, we don't really have an answer yet. The field is that young. How do interpreters do their job? We have the basics of an idea, but we're not sure. Is it more difficult to interpret between some languages than others? Well, we could give you an answer based on linguistics, but as for actually evidence and proof, what do clients really want from interpreters? We don't know yet. We've got some ideas. We're getting there, but we don't know. Literally anything you can ask about interpreting. Can anyone who has two languages become an interpreter? We don't know. If you like a field where literally every vista is yours to explore, where you can find new questions on every horizon, where you can turn around and find an underexplored topic, you love interpreting studies. If, on the other hand, you like a field where everything is set out and you can fit your research into readily created holes, interpreting studies might not be for you. It really is, at a maximum, only about 50 years old or so, and so everything is up for grabs. And why interpreting is so interesting is that it represents the coming together of some really big topics on their own. It's linguistics, sociology, intercultural studies, cultural studies, psychology, cognition. It also represents the bringing together of diplomacy, commerce, science, medicine. People have looked at interpreting through the lenses of neurology, through the lens of conversation analysis, through the lens of psychology, through any particular lens that you can imagine. People have done everything from looking at interpreters' brains to looking at the surroundings in which they work. They've looked at everything from how interpreters manage terminology to now increasingly how interpreters manage their mental health. Everything, and I mean everything, is open. Why would you study interpreting studies? Well, many people study interpreting studies because they are interpreters and they want to know more, and they perhaps want to teach better or interpret more effectively or make better decisions. Other people study interpreting because it tends to go against the grain in many fields. For a long time, cognitive psychologists thought that human beings could only really concentrate on one thing at a time. Turns out that interpreters are doing 4 highly difficult tasks at the same time. Interpreting studies has a history of moulding and breaking theories from across the social sciences. So what is there to study in interpreting studies? Pretty much everything. And that's exciting, because the research that someone's doing in a PhD today, the research that someone's even doing in a master's today, could be important for interpreting tomorrow. A paper that comes out in an obscure journal somewhere because the person didn't have the guts to publish it somewhere else could be the key that unlocks a mystery to the whole of interpreting. That's why I'm so excited about interpreting studies. I'm Jonathan Downey, and this is Inside Interpreting.